future, the IMF, World Bank, and the Ghanaian citizens, progress, pain, and the path ahead. As you all know, the strength of any nation is determined by its strong economic foundation. Dealing with Ghana's past, present, and its future economic stability, then we need somebody who is an expert in that field. And that is why our honorable professor has submitted himself in order to contribute his quota as a Ghanaian toward the development of Ghana's economy. This is a payback, so it is up to you to pay attention to what he has for us. So I therefore invite each and every one of you to partake in this this program that we are going to have with our honorable professor, and pay ears attentively, listen to his analysis, and of course, we're going to give you a chance to partake in the discussion. Perhaps if you want to ask questions, you'll be welcome. Without much ado, we invite our brother to address this topic. But before then, as Muslims, whatever we do, we give all praises to God Almighty who has given us the opportunity to be here this evening. And we welcome each and every one of you with the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So I hand you over to our brother, Professor Abbass Mohammed, in order to address this very important topic. So without much ado, please go ahead, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Once again, thank you for the opportunity. Once again, welcome to the Economic Forum, where we're going to be discussing Ghana's economic future, looking at the IMF, World Bank, and the Ghanaian citizens. So over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the progress, if there's any progress, the pain, and the path ahead. So what I have is to take you through the history and try to understand whether we've made any progress, if there's any, and then begin a discussion thereof. So tonight we're going to embark on a candid and comprehensive exploration of Ghana's economic journey since independence. Our relationship with IMF and the World Bank has been a defining feature in our economic dispensation. It has been marked by both periods of support and, regrettably, interventions that many will argue have hindered our long-term progress and imposed significant burdens on Ghanaians, the true engine and the ingenuity of our nation. Before our esteemed, discussion starts, I want us to provide or take you through the lens through history and view our current situation, and then the way forward for the discussions on a truly independent and sustainable economic pathway. In the early decades following our hard-won independence in 1957, Ghana, like many developing countries, looked to international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank to support in realizing our development aspirations. Initial engagements often involve World Bank funding for vital infrastructure projects, while IMF provided crucial balance of payments assistance. However, the global economic shifts and debt crisis of 1970s and the 80s, ushered in a transformative end. For many, it was a painful era. The era of structural adjustment programs.
That's right.
Heavily influenced by prevailing Washington consensus. These programs came with stringent conditionalities aimed at economic liberalization, a reduced role for the state, and unwavering faith in market-driven solutions. These policies fundamentally reshaped Ghana's economic landscape. But painfully, we've suffered a lot. It is imperative that we confront the tangible impact of the specific policy shift advocated by these institutions that shifts that many Ghanaians have experienced as setbacks. Number one, the dismantling of agricultural subsidies. Mid 1980s onwards, under the banner of market efficiency, vital agricultural subsidies that supported our local farmers with essential inputs were largely eliminated. All right. The consequence of that was that countless smallholder farmers suffered financial strain, decreased productivity, and heightened vulnerability to the vagaries of global market. The policy arguably weakened our domestic food production capacity and fostered a greater reliance on inputs. That's what we see today. The historical data often reflects a stagnation or even decline in key agricultural sector during this time. You can see around you how many of our agricultural products are local and how many are imported. The second phase of these economic policies was what? The removal of fuel subsidies, late 1990s and 2000s, driven by imperative policy to reduce fiscal deficits and promote energy efficiency. Fuel subsidies were gradually dismantled. While the long-term economic rationale might have been sound on paper, the immediate recurring impact on Ghanaian citizens were a sharp increase in transportation costs, which inflated prices for essential goods and services, a tangible decline in overall standard of living. Inflationary spikes often coincided with significant fuel price adjustments. Thirdly, the recurring burden of electricity tariffs that we see today, most recently this year, 2025. As we grapple with the present recent substantial hike in electricity tariffs, which is a measure supported by IMF within the current extended credit facility, which echoes a similar pattern. While the stated goal is to ensure the financial sustainability of our power sector, the immediate consequence is that there is a direct assault on household budgets, a potential catalyst for broader inflation. This reinforces a historical trend where the cost recovery is essential for our growth. So what we see today is utilities have been a consistent condition of IMF support, often at the expense of affordability for the average Ghanaian. These examples underscores a critical point. While macroeconomic stability and fiscal prudence are important goals, the path to achieving them must be carefully considered for its human cost. The genius of our nation is us, the hardworking individuals and families, which have often borne the brunt of these structural adjustments. When we look at the current situation that we're dealing with, our current engagement with the IMF, formalized through the 3 billion extended credit facility approved in May 2023 by the Akufo-Addo administration, was not an isolated incident. Every single leadership that we've had in Ghana has gone through some sort of IMF transaction, which is also similar to what we're dealing with. But what we're dealing with is a direct response to the confluence of severe economic challenges that reach a critical juncture. A crippling debt burden, all right, spiraling inflation, dwindling foreign exchange reserves, loss of access to international capital markets, and mounting fiscal pressures. Faced with the specter of economic instability and limited immediate alternatives for large-scale financing, the government entered into the negotiation with the IMF.
that's the Akufo-Addo administration. The resulting program, while providing crucial short-term relief, has once again placed the Ghanaian under a specific set of policy prescriptions. So today, we stand at the most consequential crossroads since independence. Before us lies a familiar path, a well-known road to IMF headquarters in Washington. You saw when our leaders were in Washington, the minister, foreign minister was in Washington. But behind us is what? 6 decades of evidence showing where the road is going to lead us to SAPs that strangle our farmers, to conditionalities that crush the middle class, to programs that prioritize balance sheets over human lives. Let me state again. The road is going to lead to a situation similar to what we've experienced with the structural adjustment programs. Conditionalities that will crush the middle class, if there's any left, to programs that will prioritize balance sheets over the human life of a Ghanaian. So let us speak the raw truth. When they ordered us to scrap farm subsidies in the 1980s, you think they care? Did they care that the maize yields would collapse by 30%? When they demanded fuel prices in 2021 and again in 2023, did they lose sleep over the market women sleeping in their stores? You can answer that for yourself. Now, they insist on electricity tariffs that force families to choose between light and lunch. Do they hear the children doing homework by candlelight and lanterns? This, to me, is not development. This is economic servitude in 3P suit. We stand today at a pivotal moment in our nation's history, a moment that demands courage, vision, and decisive action. For too long, we've allowed others to dictate the terms of economic survival. But I ask you, when will Ghana decide to write our own history? The bitter truth is that every time we've gone to IMF with outstretched hands, we've returned with handcuffs on our wrists. Structural adjustment programs that promised prosperity delivered poverty. Loan conditions meant to stabilize our economy destabilize our lives. And today, as electricity tariffs skyrocket and businesses struggle to breathe, we ask, how many more generations will pay the price? This is not development, okay? This is definitely servitude. But tonight, I want to bring you our revolutionary news of a Ghana that has an alternative. What I'm saying is that we must be bold and look at our arsenal when we fight in these wars of economic growth. What I'm saying is that our arsenal is in three folds. Number one is our gold. 6.6 million ounces annually. Enough to back what we call, in the current dispensation of digital space, a digital city that could make our currency as solid as the Ashanti Empire's treasury. Number two, 3 million global Ghanaians sending about 4.6 billion yearly in remittances, which to me is a capital waiting to build factory, not just the fridges that we buy and the houses we built. And the third one is our youth. 70% under 30 years meant that we have a demographic bomb, but the world's most dynamic startup ecosystem is waiting. But here is the powerful truth and the painful one. They don't want us to realize all these potential. We have everything we need to succeed right here in Ghana. Look around you. Again, gold reserves, which could anchor stable and valuable currency. Vibrant youth, which will represent an unstoppable force of innovation. Our fertile lands, which can feed not just Ghana, but the whole of West Africa. Our diaspora community, which stands ready to invest in Ghana, that believes in itself. We have the diaspora in waiting. People have money here, they don't know what to do with it, and they want to invest in Ghana. What is our strategy to bring this money home? Yet we remain trapped in this cycle of dependency because we've lacked one crucial thing: a bold, unified, Ghanaian-led economic vision. So the central question before us now is this: how do we break from this cycle of reliance and forge a truly independent, resilient economic future for Ghana? The answer lies in embracing innovative solutions and boldly charting our own course. One, empowering the diaspora. Beyond remittances, we must actively engage our global Ghanaian family through targeted investment opportunities, skills transfer programs, and incentives for entrepreneurial ventures at home. Two, we must seek transformative potential of the digital and gold-backed currency. I mentioned this earlier, and I'm repeating it before in the last program. As Ghana embraces digital age, we must explore the revolutionary potential, all right, of a central bank digital currency, e-city. Going beyond that, a bold vision of a gold-backed digital currency, leveraging our rich natural resources that could offer a stable store of value, attract investment, modernize our gold sector, and even generate revenue through transaction, offering a unique alternative to traditional financing. At this point, I give NDC a lot of props with the gold port. That's the beginning. That's the starting point. So what can we do beyond that? We got to be creative. We got to be innovative. Ethical and impact investment is the third one I ask. We must actively seek partnership with investors who prioritize sustainable development and social impact alongside financial returns, which will align with our investment on national priorities. We must unlock the value of our culture and creativity, investing in and promoting Ghana's vibrant heritage and creative industries that can become a significant source of revenue and powerful tool for national branding. Culture and tourism is key. Strengthening the South-South and triangular cooperation should be something we should look into, where we will build stronger alliances with our developing nations, okay, with other developing nations in Africa, exploring innovative partnership that can provide access to alternative funding and knowledge sharing. We can continue to seek alternative in harnessing the fintech. We have a platform that we can actually harness with the Momo money, domestic resource mobilization, leveraging digital technologies that can enhance tax collection, formalize the informal economy, create platform for domestic investment and savings. Finally, we must embrace green and blue finance, which means we should look at alternative of issuing green bonds for climate-related projects and blue bonds for sustainable ocean-based activities that can tap into growing global markets. So we must seek a new path forward, which means we must be bold in looking at strategic financial partnership beyond the IMF and the World Bank. We do not need to reject global finance. That's not what I'm saying. But we need to renegotiate in our own terms. And this is how we're going to do it. Number one, the African Development Bank should be a true partner for growth. Unlike the IMF, the ADB is invested in Africa's success. So we must pursue low interest infrastructure loans tied to Ghanaian contractors and labor, ensuring wealth stays in Ghana. Push for agricultural modernization funds that support our farmers, not undermine them. Two, BRICS, new development. Financing without strings. The BRICS banks often offers an alternative to IMF conditionalities. Why don't we seek those? Where we will explore non-dollar denominated loans to reduce the exchange rate risk. Targeting funding for industrial parks and value-added manufacturing, so we export finished goods, not just raw materials. Then we even have the Islamic finance, which is ethical, interest-free solutions. Islamic banks will prohibit, exploitative interest rate. A fairer model for Ghana, like the Sukuk bonds, which could fund our roads, hospitals, and schools without burdening the future generations with debt. We can partner with Islamic Development Bank to finance our energy transition. Sovereign Wealth Fund Partnership, leveraging our resources, similar to Norway's oil fund, USA's Abdalla, all right, and Singapore's Temasek, nations growth wealth from natural resources. We can do that. So what we have to do is to renegotiate our joint ventures where Ghana's gold, lithium, and any other resources are used to secure direct equity investment. Again, direct equity investment, not just loans. This is where we need to play. Then finally, I come back to the Ghana Diaspora Investment Trust, our global family as partners. These are Ghanaians. Millions of us are abroad. We send 4.6 billion yearly. Why don't we turn remittances into nation building capital? Offer diaspora bonds with tax incentive to fund highways, universities, and tech hubs. Create Come Home Build Ghana agenda, which is going to be a visa program for non-Americans in the diaspora, Blacks in the diaspora, visa program for skilled diaspora to return home. How do we do this? This is where it gets serious. Rather than depending on the politics of the day to lead us forward, I again will emphasize on the need for the National Economic Management Commission, which is going to be Ghana's own financial command center. To make this work, we need the Ghana National Economic Management Commission to be the Ghana's brightest economists mixed with business leaders and innovators, which are going to be tasked with negotiating all our international deals. No more IMF terms signed in secret. And in every loan, ensuring that every loan and investment aligns with Ghana's long-term interests. Building a sovereign wealth fund so the future generation will inherit wealth and not debt. What I'm proposing is that we establish the National Economic Commission, not just another government agency, but a wartime economic council for our nation's future, which will be, number one, our economic brain trusts, combining the best minds from businesses, labor, academia, and government. Number two, our policy command center, aligning monetary and fiscal policies into one powerful strategy. Three, our shield against exploitation, ensuring no foreign prescription overrides Ghanaian interests. Imagine a Ghana where central bank and finance ministry work in perfect harmony. Imagine an economic policies that are designed in Accra and not in Washington. Imagine every decision prioritize Ghanaian jobs and Ghanaian families. This isn't just possible, it is absolutely necessary. If we want to break free from this cycle of debt and desperation, this is necessary. The question is whether we can afford NEMCO. The real question should rather be, can we afford to continue without it? For 68 years, we've done without it, and all we have to show is significant economic hardship on the Ghanaian citizen. So why don't we try something else? So for every Ghanaian listening to me tonight, this is our moment. This is our fight. The IMF won't save us. The World Bank won't build us. Only we can do that. Let this be the day we declare our economic independence. We must declare our economic independence or begin the conversation of gaining our economic independence, where the generation that finally takes control of our destiny is going to be us. So we must begin to have a conversation. In conclusion, what I'm saying is Ghana's journey since independence has been marked by both progress, little progress, and a lot of pain in its engagement with international financial institutions. And as we look ahead, the path to truly prosperous and independent future demands a bold reimagining of our economic strategies. We must learn from the past, embrace innovation, leverage our unique strengths, prioritize the well-being of every Ghanaian citizens. The power to shape our economic destiny lies within us. We must begin this discussion guided by the understanding and unwavering commitment to a brighter self-determined future for Ghana. My call to action again today is, my fellow Ghanaians, the tools for our liberation are in our hands. We have the gold, we have the people, and we must have the vision. All we need now is to be courageous to break free. No more begging, no more harmful conditions. From tonight, we must chart a new course of a dignity, prosperity, and true independence. The world will respect Ghana when Ghana respects itself. Let's rise together. Let's build together. Let's win together. I'm not sure if you can hear me, the host.
Thank you, Honorable Professor. I'm very enlightened with this analysis. But I will urge our Professor Abbass Mohammed that we should continue with this topic. We should have a part 2, if necessary, part 3 of this topic. It has really, really touched me, and I believe a lot of us who have listened to this program. Honorable Professor, there's going to be a lot of interaction this evening because the subject you have touched upon has really incited me, and I believe those of you who have listened to this program, it is important to be part of this economic forum because I want to cite an example of myself. I'm not an expert on economic. I studied religious comparative studies. But because of this topic, I am being enlightened on economic. I stated earlier that the strength of every nation depends on its strong economic background. And I believe those of you who have partaken in this program has really, really enjoyed. And what the professor has said is true. So I will take 2 verses of the Quran and the Bible to support what he has said. If you are a Christian, you know it is written in John 8:32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. When you are a student of the Quran also says, Ja al-Haq was Haq al-Batil, in al-Batil kala dahuka. It means when the truth comes, falsehood vanishes. And falsehood is forever a vanishing thing. So whatever our professor have narrated here, it is 100% precisely truth. There is no lie in it. He made mention of the IMF, the World Bank. Let us have a one-on-one interaction. Let us ask him this very question. From the little research that I have made, this International Monetary Fund and the World Bank came to us after the pre-colonial period, meaning the next way of enslaving Africans is to use this financial institution because of their conditionalities. So, as I stated it categorically, I'm at the same time asking our honorable professor to address this topic. If they want us to develop, why this conditionality? Meaning, before we give you money, then you have the first conditionality is to devalue your currency. Some years back, during the early days of the military regime of Colonel Ike Trump, that was in 1979. The Ghanaian cedi was equal in strength with the American dollar. At that time, the Nigerian naira was even more valuable than the American dollar. Now the IMF will give you money and they will ask you to devalue your currency. The more they give you money, the more you devalue your currency to the extent that your currency will be weak. Then they will eye your resources, your raw material, your gold, your diamond, your manganese, your iron. Then they will ask you to privatize. You know what it means? Privatization means sell off what the government owns as the representative of your people. So now your gold mines, your uranium, your bauxite has been privatized, and those whose money is more valuable than yours, if they invest in those sectors, at the end of the day, they take the larger share of the money because their currency is more valuable than yours. And this is the reason why some of our raw materials does not belong to us anymore. Our gold is not for us. So from Ghana's from Ashanti gold is now Anglo gold. No citizen benefits from their resources. And then when you analyze, South Africa is the largest producers of gold after Ghana. But now Ghana has taken over from South Africa. And just last week, the president of Ghana, John Mahama, listen to what he has done. He said, and all foreigners should vacate the gold industries of Ghana and sanction that all Ghana's gold must be sold in cedi instead of the dollar. It means he's taking cue from what is going on in Burkina Faso. And then one of the blueprints of the Western world towards Africa is, I've listed about 20 blueprints that they say they listed them in order to keep us from emerging as a power. In point 7, it says, if they talk about nationalizing their resources, make an example of them. What happened between the Western world, particularly the American government with Mohammed because he nationalized the oil industry in Libya. And that brought the loggerhead between them and Libya until he got assassinated by Obama. Iran did the same. They nationalized their own industry, and up to now, America is in loggerhead with Iran. So if you try to nationalize your resources, you're not going to be in a good terms with them. So now that John Mahama has taken this cue, what do you think is the future of diplomatic relationship with the West?
Oh, that's the question. What's the future?
That's right.
The conditionalities that comes with the IMF loan,
as you can see, for 68 years haven't led us to anywhere. So there's no future as far as IMF is concerned because we've been with them for 68 years. And like I said, all we have is a Ghanaian that is always being squeezed. Right now, I don't know how much milk they want from the Ghanaian citizen. Because if you look at it, 20 years when I left the shores of Ghana, the economic condition then was better. than now. So if they are indeed partners of development, then the economic conditions that you guys have back home should be better than mine. When I went to Ghana on vacation, the cost of fuel, the gas, is more than what we pay in America. How is that possible for a developing country? You see, the things they ask us to do to affect the Ghanaian citizen can never happen in America. The first person you look at in America is the common American, his life. When Trump started this tariff thing, the moment we started having town halls and complaining about lives and things being expensive, he's backing off. He has to listen. Everybody places the American citizen first, then all the politics next. If any policy, I don't care what it is, whether it's oil or what have you, is going to affect the cost of living of the American, there is a cause for concern. We were here after COVID when oil prices went up. Guess what? Biden activated the use of our oil reserves to bring down the cost of living down to the American citizen. This takes economic policy thinking. So what is amazing is, and what's painful as I look at Ghana today is, the Mohammed administration has their mind in the right direction. But the question is long term, after them, then what? Are we going to go back to dealing with this issue all over again? Because the work we have in front of us requires a team that's going to be here after my life and the life of John Mahama. If we have a process in place that's going to look out for the common Ghanaian, i.e., the commission that's going to exist under the law to function to ensure that we are growing from one point to the next and renegotiating these deals, because this is bad for business. This is bad for the common Ghanaian. This is bad for the businesses in the environment that we operate. Certain things needs to be strategic, but who's negotiating? Who's looking? Who's researching and coming to the table negotiating these deals? Because you listen to what Mohammed said and listen to what Bahumia said, who's an economist, which to me was disappointing, because for him to say he doesn't know that some of the policies were going down, that's in your deals. That's the IMF deal that you have. So who's looking at those deals? So you're telling me that we don't have a team that's going to scrutinize these negotiations and reject certain things in them? If that's the case, then that's where we need to start. Because I'm beginning to make sense of a whole vice president who's an economic savvy that is not exposed to certain conditionalities of why we're here. Why the tariff? This is not a Mahama government-led increase in electricity. This is a 2023 deal that we signed. And everybody who has read the paper know one of the conditionalities was increase in electricity. So why couldn't we see this? Why are we hiding it from Ghanaian? So that tells me that if we leave it to the daily operations of the politics, we will run back into IMF condition. Right now, we're running a conditions of 2023 deal. This will go over, and I guarantee you, we're going to go back to square one, and we'll go back to IMF again. And we don't know what next is left for them to squeeze the Ghanaian with. So if we're looking at long term, we must stop acting the same way and expect a different results. Let's come together, form a team of economists, business people, technocrats, because we live in a different world. 20 years world is different from today's world. 20 years China was an agricultural base. They were just coming. And in 20 years, look at what China has transformed into. We can do this if we have the same mindset. That it would take a lot of work, but we must start somewhere. But this current ways of doing it, listen, NTC can be all they can. They can be excellent in everything they want to do because they're trying to do as many as they can. But I'm looking beyond NDC and what happens. All right, they would do whatever they could do. Their heads is in the right space. All their policies, if you look at it, is leading to something great. But who's going to hold that mantle and continue developing the country is my problem right now, which is why I can't emphasize enough the need for having an independent economic management team for our monetary and fiscal policy and economic growth in general.
Continue. Go ahead. Somebody called to ask a question, but unfortunately, he went off the line. Continue.
Yeah, so that's where it comes to. Because
as for alternatives, the alternatives are here. It's not rocket science. I've mentioned a lot of partnership, but most importantly, is the disruptive method of financing that we need. We have resources to leverage. We just have to digitalize and give people the confidence that we know what the hell we're doing. You come to diaspora, get the embassies working. Let's bring Ghanaians in America for a forum, economic forum. Let's talk about how they're going to invest back. Instead of sending remittances to buy fridges and build houses we can never even live in, some of us will build houses only to die here. So why are we wasting money and throwing it on the ground when we could invest in something else? But what is the structure back home to support this vision? And that's where the government should come in. This is money that we have, $4.6 billion.
Yeah, yes, sir. Please, we don't have a lot of time, and I think questions are coming in. But there's one question that is very, very important. Somebody sent to us that the Afrobarometer, that is Pan-African Independent Network dealing with public and social attitude in African politics, they report many Ghanaians reject military intervention in Ghanaian politics. But there is a new trend. Youth between the age of 22 to 35 years has an option that the current political authorities if they fail to deliver on their mandates, then the only option is to support military intervention. They said the politicians are abusing their mandates. The wealth of many Ghanaians are in the pocket of some few political individuals, while the poor Ghanaian has no means of benefiting on social interventions. Example, lack of health facilities, education, etc. They saw in 2 years. Somebody has called, but I have to stop and then take the call since he's from outside the studio. Can you just put him online? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Mohammed, the member from the program.
Go ahead.
Please, my question is, supporting the continent for I don't see any impact that could make to us, particularly as a nation. So, the mismanagement of properties or the conditions imposed on us by the entity, which is beyond our capability. With our action taken into consideration as practice, is it still the way to go, or should we take a different direction? And how would you approach the situation like this? Should you be giving the note?
Yeah, please, Professor, if I can understand his question, he's dealing with the same IMF that you spoke about. Can you just briefly give him the answer of what he requested?
What is the question?
He's making the analogy of the IMF that yeah, I think he's still online. Hello, are you still online?
Yes, I'm still on.
Yeah, so can you repeat the question so that the professor will get it clearly?
For the fact that World Bank and IMF have been supporting to the continent for the past decade, right? Identity. I don't see any impact that is particularly as a nation. Is this a mismanagement of how it is or the conditions imposed on us by the entity, which is beyond our capability?
Okay.
Should there have taken into consideration of practice? Is it still the way to go?
Okay.
And how to approach a situation like this? Should you be giving the nod as an economy?
Okay. Professor, do you understand his question?
I didn't get it. If you can summarize it for me, please.
Right. Yeah, he's asking about the impact of IMF so far. Why is it that even though we are getting so many loans from the IMF, but we don't necessarily see the impact in our communities and in the country? Is it the mismanagement of our leaders, or it is the conditions that are imposed when given the loan by the IMF?
And then also you top it up with, if you have been given the loan, how would you make the difference if you were in this economy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So it's a combination of both. Lack of proper management of the funds, and then the conditionalities. The conditionalities are translated into difficult lives that we have today because we fail to act on the things that we promised to do with the loan. So they're not only the problem here, the problem is us also. If we had done some of the things, to be honest, this is a frank, observation, that if we had done what we sought out to do with the money and not end up in people's pocket, we could have transformed our lives, which is the argument they have against the conditions that they set in. For example, the reason why they set up the tariff today on electricity, because that's what you guys are dealing with. So I want to just start there. The reason why we have the increase in tariff is to help with our energy sector discipline in terms of ensuring that the energy stays on as much as we need it. But then the problem is, what do we do with the funds? Does it end up in people's pocket? Again, the lack of a team that is independent of the politics of the day in identifying what key priorities are that will accelerate the growth is the reason why we can't seem to go anywhere. So we leave it in the politicians' hands only to decide our fate. And oftentimes, the politicians want to check the box by initiating programs, but they don't lead to significant long-term growth. So until we redo the way we approach our economic development, meaning having a constant team that will ensure continuity in any project we start. Like right now, this current administration is only getting a little bit of the 3 billion loan that they have sought in 2023 for him to function. So what is 130 gonna do, all right, in $20 billion? All right, in $3 billion that he sought. He's only getting millions of that. So that means this money needs to go into projects that will bring long-term growth. So if I'm in charge to answer the question, what we have to do is, what are our key priorities? Number one, we have to sustain energy. The lights need to stay on. We cannot have doom solve back and forth. And you telling me that you're building a 24-hour economy. You a joke. You first have to prioritize energy, number one. Get the power on, stay on, and then we look at the next infrastructure that is key. We have roads to connect the farm, invest in farming. Let's begin with the basics. Can we even feed ourselves? So I'm looking at the Ghanaian as my customer if I'm a business person, because I'm always looking at things from economics and business. I'm a business economist, so I put the Ghanaian as my customer. What is he suffering right now? He can feed himself. All right? He can pay his bills. He can find jobs. So what are the three things we can do to solve this problem other than keeping the power on? All right? So that is where the investment needs to go. I know the programs they have kind of speak to this here and there, but what is the long-term growth? What is the strategy to go beyond Mohammed's administration? And that's what nobody can answer. All right? So that's where we need to be. So the problem is both ends. I may have the share in terms of conditionalities, but we also have our share in not having, a stronger vision and taking bold decisions on long-term growth.
There are two more important questions for me and from Brother Yusuf here. And then also we will use some 5 minutes in order to go into the local dialects. So I want us to continue with the concern of somebody who said it to me that about the Afro barometer. In fact, in the conclusion, he cited an example that many Ghanaians reject military intervention in Ghanaian politics, but there is a new trend. Youth between the age of 32 and 35 years has an option that in the current political administration, if they fail to deliver on their mandates, the only option is to support military intervention. They said the politicians are abusing their mandate. The wealth of many Ghanaians are in the pocket of some few politicians. And the brother cited some example that in 2 years, the government in Burkina Faso was able to build a tomato factory which cost $12 million, and it has employed about 2,000 workers. New roads are being built. Education from nursery to university is free. Free housing for all Burkinabes. Free machines for farming. Business working in the field to reduce their sentences. This is the type of revolution Africa needs. What's your take on this?
Yes, so that is the alternative that we have. Either we do what I'm proposing, which will be all-inclusive, because the youth are tired of the lies and the status quo, business as usual. All we have to show for these years is politicians that get to power and enrich themselves. That's the only examples we have. The common Ghanaian has nothing to show for 68 years of independence. So he has nothing to lose. If you look at the age of maybe 18 to 25, if he doesn't activate something right now, his life is done. So that's and they're looking at Burkina Faso. A 30-year-old is doing amazing stuff in 2 years.
That's right.
So what is an option for us? It's either we act like we did it, which is what I feel like the current administration under Mohammed's guidance can lead this conversation where we have a setup that is entrenched in the constitution to lead our growth, so that the young person will see the vision. You're going to have a Ghana that will be equipped with all these industries, because let's say next year we started the tomato production too. The following year we have this all lined up by these teams. Until we have the team, we cannot ensure or satisfy ourselves that NDC can do it or MPP can do it, because they've all been here. I keep saying they've all been here. So until we have a new phase that gives us the assurance, then the alternative is similar to Burkina Faso. They are right next door. We see what good looks like. Everybody is looking to see what Burkina is doing in Ghana. Can we do it under the current democracy that we have? That's the question that everybody needs to ask. So the leaders in power today need to understand that whether they like it or not, until we do something different, what happened to Burkina can happen to Ghana.
That's right.
We peace-loving people, which is why I like the approach of, saying, okay, enough is enough. We've done this style of democracy, it hasn't worked well. Why don't we change some aspects of the democracy where we have the technocrats actually deciding we can actually move faster, because here is one person doing all these amazing things. But
that's right.
We have right economy, business people, investors, all coming together and activating on our agenda one by one and telling that vision boldly on a national billboard, everybody knowing where Ghana is going in 5 years. Ghana will be like this.
Somebody.
All right.
So that's where we need to go. That's why this has to change.
Prof, we have to do the part 2 of this program, because that should be the end. That shouldn't be the end, because it is very educative, and it's a topic that we need to discuss it one more time. If possible, we may even do the part 3, because I'm very touched with this topic, and there is somebody here who has a question online.
Yeah, the question is, can Ghana realistically achieve sustainable development without continuous reliance on the IMF and World Bank?
Good question.
So, what key sectors should Ghana focus on to build a resilient economy independent of external loans?
All right, can Ghana achieve sustainable growth without IMF and World Bank? The big answer is yes.
I have mentioned alternative sources of funding that we can seek. All right, which includes so many, alternatives, including the BRICS. We have the African Development Bank, and even the Africa, West Africa in general. Listen, Traore is looking for partners. All right. What can we do together to fund some of the projects? And within ourselves, we haven't even done a good job of formalizing our sector. We have the funds within. If we all understand that the agenda is bigger than myself, you would think the people on the street would like to be part of the economy and the future to go in the next 10 years. Yes, we can even raise funds within. And then we have the reserves, we have the gold. Let's be revolutionary, digitalize the currency, backed by gold currency, backed by gold. We can't emerge as a nation with this. If right now IPO offering for an ounce of gold is equivalent to one Ghana coin, whatever we call the digital currency, see how many people will buy it, because they know we have the gold, we have the reserves, so we can sell it. Ways of achieving, alternatives.
We'll buy some few minutes from our brother, because I know we have got the time. But I want to chip in this. In the 80s, in the early 90s, you made mention of African Development Bank, right? Do you remember Gaddafi was able to establish an African Central Bank in Libya? And he backed it up with gold to be a stable anchor. Don't you think when you do something like that without the unity of the African continent, it's going to be another threat for the international bankers like IMF, World Bank, and Federal Reserve, etc.?
Yes, it's gonna be a disruptive. That's what I said. It's a disruptive. But people are all in it together as a nation. That's why you can't do some of these things as a political party, right? But if we come in as a nation and leverage these resources that we have, then we come in as a big, organization that is looking beyond each and every single person that's representing that. The reason why we are suffering, or whoever did this and suffered, is because it's not a team that's doing it. If you are one person, one single person doing this, you'll be gone in less than a year. They will call you. But if you come as a team and look at these alternatives.
Look at Bitcoin. What Bitcoin has been $80 billion and nothing to show for it. Bitcoin is not supported by a single physical asset that you can nail your points in. Nobody even knows who the person is. Yes, if you show yourself, you can be eliminated. Yes, I agree with that. But if we come in as a team, a country, who has mandated a team to lead this development? China is doing it. Whether they like it or not, China's one is going to be a digital currency. US can fight all they want, but it's going to be in the next 5 years, it's going to be a currency alternative to dollar. That's the goal. There's no more hiding technology. The technology is here. You just have to get in the game of ensuring that when your team is in place, when one person goes, the other members will carry on. And that's why we need a team. We don't need a political leadership to lead our agenda of growth. I'm telling you, the politics has failed us. And so if we need to move forward, politics is not going to do it. It's a national call, national agenda. Team in place that are going to be replaced by Ghanaians all the time. So who are you going to kill? You're going to kill the whole country then? You can't do that. So that's why we have to approach it as a national agenda rather than an NDC agenda or MPP agenda. The days of doing MPP, NDC agenda is the reason why we're here.
That's right. Thank you so much, our honorable professor. I want to beg you, those who are sending your messages, we really, really appreciate your concern. We really, really thank you for taking part in this discussion. But inshallah, next week, our professor will be here and then we will continue from where we stop. This is a topic that the whole country needs to listen to, because it is very educative. It also strengthens us as the people to know what is going on in our continent. And that is why I started the example of myself. I am not good in economics, but through this program, I'm being enlightened. And I believe you too can do the same. So we want to beg you, so that we'll get some 5 minutes to interact with our people in the local dialect, so for them to also get a view of what is going on here. So ba da mutu lokaci ba, ina muku gaisuwa ta addinin musulunci, kuma jama'an mu muna son da Allah kuma muna hakuri don akwai lokaci da za mu samu musamman saboda mu ɗauki kamar minti 30 mu yi bayani a hausance saboda kuma ku fahimci me ke faruwa a ƙasar. Dukanmu ya kamata muna da haƙƙin mu san me ke faruwa a ɓangaren tattalin arzikin ƙasarmu da kuma ainihin Afirka gaba ɗaya. Kuma mu ne ma Allah godiya, ɗan uwanmu Mohammed Abbass daga Amerika yana karantar da mu wannan ɓangaren. Kuma duk wani al'umma idan ba yana da tattalin arziki mai ƙarfi ba, to al'umma ba za ta zana zaman kanta ba, za ta zama almajira kullum bara take. Amma idan tattalin arzikin ƙasarmu ya zanna sosai, to mu ma za a ji mu a duniya, za mu rinka yin wani abin da zai amfana da al'ummar ƙasar Ghana. Shi yasa ba tare da ɓata lokaci ba, zan gayyaci ɗan uwanmu Mohammed Abbass saboda ya ɗan muna bayani a takaice wani abu muka tattauna a nan yau. Kuma insha Allah sabon sati za mu ci gaba daga inda muka tsaya, saboda yanzu jama'a na turo sakonnin su amma babu lokaci. Wannan minti 5 ɗin mamun ara ne daga ainihin hukumomi da ke nan su taimaka mana, saboda babu lokaci kuma mutane na shigowa, kuma kamata ya ce wanda ba sa jin harshen turanci su ma suna da haƙƙi su san me ke faruwa. Shi yasa za mu ba ɗan uwan wannan filin ɗan minti 5 a takaice muku bayanin abin da muke tattaunawa a nan, har an lalaye kai mu sabon sati za mu ci gaba da inda muka tsaya.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Barkanmu da yau, muna yi ma Allah godiya kuma muna yi ma Walkiya TV godiya. Ina jin inda akwai makamancin wannan forum din inda muke tattaunawa kan tattalin arzikinmu da abin da ya shafe mu, don da dama ba mu samun dama mu fahimci ba ma me shugabanninmu ke yi, wani hali muke ciki, menene na mafita. To shi yau muke tattaunawa. Yau dai mun doko babban topic. Tattalin arzikinmu yana tafiya da kudi. To ina kudaddarin da ake kawowa cikin garin yake fitowa shine da daman ababen da ya faru shekaru yau 68 tun da muka karbi 'yancin kanmu. Kudaddari ko taimakon da muke samu duka annun IMF ne da World Bank da dama ya fito. To shin IMF da World Bank sun taimaka ne ko dai sun kawo muna wani masuwa ne? Guntun jawabi shine masuwa ya ƙare ya bar mu. Me yasa? Saboda kowane lokaci za su ba mu kudi na rance, yana karewa da wani abin nan conditionality, wato wani ka'ida da zai sa dan Ghana shi citizen wato kenan ya matsu da wayansu ababen da suke kawowa. Muka ambaci ababa 3 da har yau muke tare da shi. Na farko, subsidy wato taimakon da gwamnati ke yi wajen gonannakinmu suka janye, da cewa ya kamata a sake mu compete din da sauran duniya duka, ya kashe muna agriculture. In kun sani kuma da wajen gonannakinmu shi muke samun ragowa kudin abinci, muke kuma cin abincin gida, da yau ya kai muna kawo abincin da ke tucen mu, kansan da kuke ganin ga duka, cuta bisa da kasa duka saboda rashin yin gonannakinmu gida ne. Na biyu, suka janye muna kudin mai, abin nan ragowar da gwamnati ke yi wajen kudin mai, saboda kase mai ya zo kasa, shi kuma nawa za mu doki muna turo muna, saboda masu mota na samun ragowa, wannan duka suka janye. Na uku, yanzu kuna cikin wannan hali, shine kudin wuta. Electricity sun ce a kara muna kamar 20% yanzu ke ciki, suka kara mana tariff. Wannan abin nan agreement din ba wannan shugaban ya je ya kawo ba. 2023 bayan COVID, abin nan Akufo-Addo da administration shi suka amince da su kan cewa muna neman wannan kudi saboda mu tada kasan, amma wannan condition kuma mun amince da shi, yau shi ciki kukin ga. So a gaskiya ba abin NDC bane, ba abin Mohammed bane. Abin da muka start ne 2023 har yanzu muke ciki. An so da a juya baya kan wannan, amma kasancewa gwamnati ya zo ba kudi, dole suka kuma ci gaba da wannan halin da muka samu kanmu. So yau in kaga kanka kama su wajen wuta da sauransu kuda yayi tsada, to abin 2023 da muka sa hannu har yau shi muke ciki, dan ba mu ƙara karban kudin ba, ragowar da ya saura yau shi aka ba NTC su yi project dinsu. So wa'annan nan in ka duba wa'annan, wato shi dan Ghana, shi dan ƙasa dai Ghanaian, wanda ake ce da Ghanaian masuwa ne, wanga takura ya kawo mana, ci gaban ciki kadan ne. Shi dai kuma mu yi da juna gaskiya kan cewa ba su kawai ke da abin nan ba, matsala cikin wannan lamarin ba, shugabanninmu kuma na da nasu ciki. Don shekara 68 mun yi MPP, mun yi NDC, kowa ya zo kuma dukkan sunan kowa ya shiga cikin wannan hali kuma suka amince aka matsa mana har yau muke ciki. So menene mafita? Mafitan ne mu gane cewa in dai mun ci gaba, wanga halin da muka samu kanmu na haurayya da wayannan IMF da World Bank, ya kamata mu gane cewa shi dai mu sake wayansu hali. Shine ni wajen ni na ce ni nawa shawara a gani na da binciken da na yi, in dai ba mu son mu yi irin abin da ke kusa da Burkina, which is abin nan ku da sauransu, wani tashin hankali da sauransu, shine mu gano, mu zamna, mu tattauna, mu nemi wa'ansu jama'a ko kuma abin nan organization, wato commission da za su manage din tattalin arzikin kasan, ba da politics ba. Economists, investors da sauransu, su suna nan ne tutur da za su ta gyaran lamarin, su za su mana negotiation din. Dan politician shi nashi ne samu amfani shi ya biya da kanshi bukata. Politics na win power a komo, wa'annan su nasu kenan, su suna nan for wannan, su za su guide muna laws, suna da amfani, to amfanin su da yake kenan. Amma wai ci gaban kasa da sauransu ya kamata ya fita hannunsu yau da kullum, yana hannun wa'anda suke zama suke tunani suna bincike, wanda za su kai mu yau shekaran ga to shekara 5 ina za mu nufa, me za mu yi. To wa'annan ya kamata ya fita hannun dan politics, dan politician ba nashi bane. So in ba mu yi da kanmu gaskiya ganewa cewa dan politics shi bai iya kawo mana wannan ci gaba ba, muna gama ko mun gauraye komi da komi mun ba dan politics, wallahi bai yawa. Wan ba aikin su bane. American nan IMF su ke rike da wannan lamarin, kudin mu na hannun IMF, ba hannun politician yake ba, kamar yau Trump ba hannun shi, yayi sun ki sake mai, dan ba aikin su bane. Su aikin su ne power. So abu biyu ne muke try mu confuse shi. Ci gaba ba hannun politician bane, ya yi guide ci gaba, amma bai ya kawo mana sansa. Dan yau ka duba ko me NDC za su yi, bayan su me zai zo ba mu sani ba. To wa zai duba bayan su amma sun yi kokari? Dan suna yin kokarin su, ababen da suke kawo na da ma'ana da yawa da za mu yi mu dauki mu kara cikin planning mu na babban vision gaba. So until mu fara tattaunawa kan ya za mu yi, to abin da ya faru Burkina, Allah kiyaye, Allah gyara. So Allah sa mu dace. Har yanzu dai tattaunawa ne, ina jin wannan da zafi ne da za mu ci gaba insha Allah.
Godiya muke Professor, Allah ya saka da alkhairi, kuma insha Allah alƙawarin da muka muku shine cewa za mu ci gaba da wannan maudu'in, saboda ba karshen ta kenan ba. Ga dan uwa Yusuf ma bai samu yayi wannan tambaya da yake so ba, saboda ba mu da lokaci da yawa. Kuma muna muku godiya sosai da kuka ba mu gudunmuwa, kuka saurari wannan program din, kuka je tambayoyin ku. Insha Allah sabon sati za mu dora daga inda muka tsaya. Ina fatan dai an ci daɗin wannan bayani da ɗan uwanmu ya mana, kuma muna godiya. Allah ya saka mai da alkhairi. Shi ma nashi taimako da zai yi mana kenan. Duk wanda Allah mai baiwa da ilimi, to an dora mai nauyi, to nauyi shi ne yake saukewa. Yanzu ya rage gare mu ji ko mu ji shi da yayi aikinsa. Ubangijin Allah ya mana muwafaka, Allah ya sa mu ci burin mu. Ubangijin Allah, wannan gida da suka ba mu wannan dama, Allah ya taimaka musu. Muna muku godiya. In Allah ya yarda mun muku alƙawari sabon sati za mu dora daga inda muka tsaya. Shi yasa dan Allah a ci gaba da sako mana sakonnin, ko da ma after the program ne ma, har yanzu dai muna bukatar a turo mana da sakonni da duk wani tambayoyi da kake nema kai da baka samu dama ba, ka turo mana kan WhatsApp. Insha Allah sabon sati za mu sa wannan tambayar, saboda dan uwan mu ya bada ansan kan tambayoyin da kuke mana. Muna muku godiya. To those of you who don't understand the other language, I always say that we thank you so much for giving us your time, for being with us for the period of 1 hour. We really appreciate you all. and we are going to continue with where we are stopped. This topic is not a topic that we can put a stop to it now. It has to go on for next 2 weeks if possible. Well, it is a topic that really touched me. And I encourage every Ghanaian to be part of this program, Economic Forum. I'm setting an example of myself. I'm not an expert in economics. I am expert in religious studies. I studied Sharia law. So I deal with the scriptures from the Bible and the Quran. But because of this program, I'm being enlightened. So you can also be part of it. Inshallah, I believe you listen to a professor once, twice, thrice, you become a professor yourself. So it's important to give us the ears while we are here. And it's because of you that our professor has taken his time to come and educate us. So we only beg you to give us your ear anytime we are here to talk about this economic forum. Thank you so much once again. As I greet you all in peace, Assalamu alaikum, which only means in English, peace be upon each and every one of you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.